Hello everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of my Age of Empires 3 campaign review. The first two parts of this three-act story haven't really been the best, and there were several times during the reviewing process where I just wanted to quit. However, I'm feeling pretty good about this part of the review. No, it's not because this is the part where the story gets good, but the main reason is that after this video, the Circle of Ossus, a poorly designed secret society, never shows up again. I know that they're referenced in one of the later stories, but it's nothing more than a remark about another person's character. For those of you who would like to get caught up with the story so far, I'll give a quick little summary here. Morgan Black learns about the Circle of Ossus and their goal to reach the Fountain of Youth. He goes to the Americas to beat them there. On the way, he manages to secure a treasure fleet, but it gets taken by the Circle of Ossus. He fights the Circle of Ossus and destroys the Fountain of Youth. He also drinks water from said fountain. John Black fights the Circle of Ossus and manages to completely decimate the Circle's forces and a large Russian force, losing his life in the process. Also, John Black has a friend called Kanyen, whose name may or may not have been poorly spliced into the audio of the definitive edition.
We should search for Beaumont while Kanyon's outside looking for help.
And that's it. You're up to speed. There were some other parts of this story that I skipped over while providing the summary, but more thorough breakdowns can be found in the previous episodes of this review series. Also, before we get started, thank you so much for watching this series. I'm not sure how much time I can invest into running this YouTube channel over the next few months, but I'll see what I can do. And I think that's everything we need to get to, so let's get started with Act 3, Steel. Our story starts with some mostly one-sided exposition from this old man who knows about the Falcon Company, how it's bankrupt, and how they're planning on laying railroad tracks all the way to the west coast. Great stuff, but the government isn't inclined to give the Falcon Company a contract, as they're not sure if the Falcon Company can pull it off better than their competition.
The government's not convinced you can get this job done, Black. You're going to have to prove to us you can beat the other companies before you'll get the contract.
Which leads us right to the first mission, where you mainly build a railroad and, well,
Ready. Yes, about.
yes, in order to obtain a government contract for constructing long-distance transportation, Amelia has to survive an all-out battle between the employees of her company and the soldiers of the competition. Even if you don't go for their base, you have to destroy their property in order to beat this mission. You have to kill fellow Americans, while Cooper watches. He doesn't really mind this, though.
You did good work here, Black.
Don't worry, this isn't the worst decision Cooper is going to make, but we'll get to that later. After a few war crimes, Cooper thanks the Falcon Company for building rails to the border forts. Hold up, wasn't the plan to build a railroad from coast to coast? Hold that thought, we've got bigger problems. The Mexican army is attacking, and our railroad workers are trapped in the fort. Luckily, this fort is fairly easy to defend, with supplies coming in via the railroads you built earlier. Honestly, this isn't all that bad. It's not the worst place to be stuck in.
She can fight, this pretty one. And now, we are trapped together, no? I will show you the way I like to kill.
I take it back. We need to leave, now. Unfortunately, during the second mission, you're trapped in there for a while before reinforcements arrive to help you destroy the surrounding forces. And now we can finally leave this creepy Frenchman.
Leaving so soon?
No, please, don't encourage him.
I've got to go finish the railroad if I'm going to get paid. We're done. Where's my money?
Now, there is a possible explanation for this. Perhaps she's simply, well, telling a lie in order to get away from this concerning guest. But this wouldn't explain why she is willing to hear him out.
These days you have not enough money, eh? So now I help you. with gold from my claim up in the mountains.
What are you offering?
You have men. I'm alone. Your men mine the claim. You take half of what they dig up.
Alright, fine. Maybe there's some profit to be found here. Assuming this murderous prospector is telling the truth. Even so, it's probably best to have some extra men handy, in case this might be a trap, and to help assess the value of the claim and how much gold there might be. Which brings us to Amelia and Beaumont ascending the mountain. Alone.
I will show you the way I like to kill.
Luckily for Amelia, Kanyan shows up and scares off Beaumont. Well, honestly, he's pretty lucky that he managed to track down Beaumont right before he could corner Amelia in the cave, but whatever. Beaumont makes a hasty retreat, and Amelia meets up with Kanyan and Cooper. This scene isn't the worst scene, as there are some sensible decisions being made here, such as Kanyan keeping a close eye on the Circle's operations, as well as Cooper's decision to bring reinforcements. Cooper bringing backup lets us know that he's smart enough to bring troops with him if there is a potentially hostile force present, so kudos to him for calling in the cavalry. And the next mission begins, to clean up the mines, which turns out you don't need an army to do. All you need is a little bit of distance, Kanyan, some patience, and you can beat this mission on a pretty high difficulty level with no casualties among your men. Just simply attack a unit once to get it to follow you, go back a few steps, and then keep firing. Since Kanyan's attack range is greater than any unit on this map, with the cannons probably being the only exception, and due to the enemy's unwillingness to chase you beyond a certain distance, you can pick off most enemy troops fairly easily. A few hundred arrows later, Amelia and Kanyan meet up to discuss in detail why the Circle of Ossus wanted Amelia.
I have been on Beaumont's trail for months. He and the Circle of Ossus believe you know where to find the Lake of the Moon.
This seems oddly similar to the second act, but it's completely understandable, especially if the Circle of Ossus doesn't have a map that leads them to the Lake of the Moon. Actually, wait a minute. Let's rewind that a bit. A map to the Lake of the Moon. They had it this whole time? Why did Beaumont even try to go after Amelia in the first place? He already has the map. He doesn't need her. The Falcon Company isn't in between Beaumont and Florida. He can go there and do whatever he pleases. In the next few chapters, the Falcon Company will spend a lot of resources and men to go after the Circle. All because Beaumont wanted to get Amelia involved. For no good reason. The only reason that the story gives the audience is the wrong one. Kanyan could have said something like, "Your grandfather a long time ago dealt a severe blow to the Circle of Ossus, and now Beaumont is looking to even the score." Whether or not you think revenge plots are overrated, it's a lot better than the travesty known as the Age of Empires 3 campaign. Let's go on to the next scene. Everyone is at Florida. Beaumont is overseeing the torture of natives to get information about the Lake of the Moon, and the next mission begins. Your goal is to destroy outposts guarding treasure ships from the first act so your villagers can mine it. This is an interesting mission idea, since you aren't allowed to make plantations or colonies to produce free money, meaning your only source of gold is either the stuff you send in via shipments or the gold guarded by enemy outposts. However, I'm not sure how well they planned this mission, since there's an easy way to bypass this. Simply age up to the 4th age, get a free factory wagon for aging up, ship another factory from your home city, and have them both work on gold. Oh hey, look at that. This level's unique quirk has just been nullified with a simple trick. I'm getting money, and I don't have to destroy a single outpost or risk my neck gathering resources away from my base. And keep in mind, I'm playing this on the hardest difficulty mode. Beaumont retreats, but is met by someone he didn't expect to see.
Surrender, or you will face justice right here.
And it's not just Cooper. He's brought the cavalry with him. In the previous mission, Cooper mentioned that Beaumont escaped and killed his best men, but because Cooper is still able to muster cavalry, he didn't lose them all. and now he and his men are ready to finish off Beaumont. And just like that, he had done it. He defeated Beaumont, all while the others soundly defeated the Circle's forces in Florida. And the gold? Well, the gold that Emilia was able to take from the ships and from the Circle of Ossus helped save the Falcon Company. From there, she returned to her regular life, knowing that the Circle of Ossus would think twice before messing with the Black family ever again. What I've just described is what I like to call the good ending. However, because the writing so far has proven to be less than ideal, this isn't the ending we're gonna get. Yes, Beaumont is on the run. Yes, Cooper confronts him, but he ends up not bringing any reinforcements at all. What? Did he assume that the leader of a powerful secret society whose identity has been outed would be by himself during an evacuation? And would also be unarmed? Also, Cooper is known to bring reinforcements with him when he gets involved in a dangerous mission. So why didn't he do so now?
Surrender, or you will face justice right here.
Melu, attack!
Cooper!
Rippin' pepperonis, Cooper. You overseer of war crimes between fellow Americans. You died as you lived. An idiot. And why did Cooper behave in such a bizarre way? Well, the only reason is to give Emilia motivation for going after the Circle of Ossus. Oh, and the Circle of Ossus managed to take the gold with them. In exchange for driving out the Circle of Ossus, one of the natives shares a story about how the Inca took barrels of water from Florida down to South America. Actually, let me rephrase that. These Incans who somehow know about the importance of a lake all the way in Florida are taking barrels of water back to Inca through Aztec territory. Water which is considered sacred by the Aztecs. Ugh, this is just so dumb. The only upside is that once this chapter is over, it's slightly smoother sailing from here. Alright, let's assume that this stupidity somehow played out. The Incans now need assistance, so it's time to help them out and... Oh, wait, another mission. Turns out there's a civil war going on, and in exchange for helping out the locals, you get some assistance with hunting down Beaumont. The mission itself isn't that bad, and I don't have that many qualms with it. Forcing the player to have a mobile force to keep up with Bolivar and keep him and his men alive is an interesting challenge. At the end of it all, he sends some men with you and warns you that the mountains are dangerous this time of year. They decide to take their chances and head up the mountain with nothing but our two heroes and a few soldiers. Also, the Circle of Ossus is already there, and the next mission begins. It's a chase. Not only that, but the Circle of Ossus is unaffected by the weather, while you and your forces constantly take damage. Nothing significant happens. Let's move on. They find the Incans with the ever-so-precious water from the Fountain of Youth. One of the locals even talks about how this battle was years in the making. Just then the Circle of Ossus approaches, but there is no effort made to secure the water behind the walls. Whatever, let's just get right into the next mission. The goal of this mission is to acquire cannons and lead them to a gathering place in your base. I mean, it's kind of weird that you can't produce cannons at all in the mountains, but I guess this is an interesting challenge, requiring the player to have to escort cannons past the Russians, as well as defend against the Circle. Also, the Russians are here again, despite how the Circle of Ossus led their troops to their deaths in Act 2. Well, fine. Remember how I said that there isn't a way to make cannons? Turns out that's a bit misleading, since you can use the good old factory again to have them make heavy cannons for free. And you can also ship in cannons directly to your town center instead of having to risk your neck getting them from the top left to your base. Another mission quirk gone to waste. Shame. After getting rid of the circle, it's revealed that they managed to get away with some of the water and are taking it to their stronghold near Havana, which leads us to the final mission. The good news is that the American fleet is coming to help. The bad news is that they're going to be taking their sweet time getting to your location. A few minutes later, assistance arrives, and your men storm the ossuary, and we get a short action sequence. I don't have as much promise with this one as I did with the one at the end of Act 2. My only minor qualm is about why Emilia and Kanyan were going in despite the location not being fully secured yet. However, this is the only problem I have with this scene, and otherwise, it's quite nice. And that's it. Emilia secures the treasure from the Spanish treasure fleet and saves the Falcon Company. Which leads us to the final scene, where that old coot from the beginning of this act converses once again with Emilia. It starts out like a good scene, and then he says this.
You broke the circle, and in just one lifetime, too.
What did you say?
Don't miss your train.
Oh no, no, this ending was so promising, but then they had to do this. Alright, I'll try and keep this rant quick. This old coot speaks with a Scottish accent, is familiar with the Black family and the Circle of Ossus. It's Morgan Black, from the first act. I have so many questions. Since the water from the Lake of the Moon is indeed water from the Fountain of Youth, how come Morgan is the only one who lasted this long? Did absolutely nobody from the Circle of Ossus partake of the water from the Fountain of Youth? And speaking of the Circle, how did Morgan even know that Emilia completely wiped them out? Did he go there himself? Does he have the resources to do so? Alright, I'm done. I'm not doing an outro for this video. I'm out.